right, and we are live. I am very excited to have today's guest. It's the first time I've had Cheryl back on in a very long time, probably since pre-COVID, and a lot has changed. Now a Grammy-nominated artist, brand new album out that just came out, According to the Moon. So I'm excited to check that out, and doing amazing camps for musicians on career coaching and mindset, and it just sounds very, very peaceful what you do. I want to go to these camps. But yeah, it shows a lot. And I initially wanted to reach out because email marketing is so important to me, but I feel like we have a lot more to dive into than just email marketing. But super excited to have Cheryl B. Engelhardt back on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really psyched to be here. And it's so funny you call it camps. Like during COVID, I have a membership called Amplify, and during COVID, I went live every day for 3 months just
Oh, wow.
because there's so much. I normally it's a once a month thing. Now it's twice a month, but there was just so much upset and trauma happening from people losing all these gigs and jobs.
Mhm.
So we just created this support structure. And by the end of it, people were like, "When COVID's over, we should all go camping together." Camplify.
Camp.
And I was like, cute, but I don't want to go camping with anyone. But I was like, what if we did it at a mansion? And that's when I started my retreat. We call it Ampla Mansion, which is definitely more on brand for me than camping. So it's more of a retreat at a high level, like a luxury
Sure.
retreat.
Well, I have a 5-year-old, so right, and I've been looking at camps. So I call everything a camp.
Everything's camp. Yeah, no, I got it.
But I guess since we started there, tell everyone a little bit about these retreats at this mansion, because that sounds amazing. When you described it before we start recording, it just
Yeah.
sounds so peaceful. And if I was I want to go there regardless, but as a musician and creative person, that just sounds like a great place to go create and be with like-minded people.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it. The work I've been doing for over 10 years is really looking at when there's a breakdown for a musician, whether they're just so stuck on the next gig, the next paycheck. And we get into this kind of very myopic view view of kind of this starving art. It's really the starving artist mindset. Like, and we're not looking into what we really want to be creating long term. We're not looking into our lifestyle. We're just trying to get by, which is very common and becoming more common. So we get into this fight or flight. We kind of go into a trauma response, and we're constantly working from high levels of cortisol, adrenaline, and just kind of fear. And so what this retreat is designed to do is to clear that out, actually clear out the chemicals of stress in our bodies. And we do an anger burn. We do the whole first day is this reset of our nervous system so that we can get to a place of feeling grounded and really aligned with our actual selves, not our little kid in a trauma response self. And from there, the next day, we get to really look at what do we want to create and bring in and call in now that there's actually space and there's not all this, taking up all of our room, exhausting us, all of these things. And then the third day, we are looking at, okay, what did we say that we wanted? How do we put that into reality? How do we schedule that in? What are the plans that we're making? We create kind of a business plan around what we want our lives to look like. And so it's this whole arc of creating space, deciding what we want to put in that space, and then implementing it. And it's in this beautiful, we do it in upstate New York right now, gorgeous, literally a mansion in the middle of a nonprofit farm, 60 acres, that's in the middle of a 400-acre state forest. So it's very remote and just a really nice place, not just to get away, but to kind of normalize that feeling of peace. And we talk a lot on the last day about what are the elements we can actually bring from here into our lives. Maybe not, it's not a 60-acre farm, but we look at normalizing that nervous system being regulated.
I love that. Is this something you're offering only for musicians, or is it open?
No, it used to be. It used to be, yeah. This year and last year, we started opening. We opened it up. The first year was only for members of my Amplify community. And then we opened it up to the public, and really we're focusing on creatives. And this year I was having conversations with people like you, brand partners, some nonprofits, about partnering to offer scholarships for people to make it really accessible. And a lot of the people I was talking to was like, can I come?
Yeah.
And so we've now opened up to it's creatives and arts professionals. So whether or not you play an instrument, but you are on a nonprofit board, or you work in fundraising for so it's anyone adjacent to creating something from nothing. So awesome. Entrepreneurs, everything, but there is a focus on music, and we have a showcase, a lot of people that will come are musicians, and you can get up and perform if you want, or we had someone who plays 0 instruments, and she got up and gave like a 3-minute talk on what she does and the importance, and she works in the nonprofit world. It was so beautiful to just have this diverse community. Not all necessarily musicians, although there are opportunities to co-write and do things. There's a lot of creativity. So if you are a musician, it's catered for you. And
Sure.
if you're arts adjacent, it absolutely is still a really, really lovely weekend and lovely fit.
It sounds amazing. I was talking literally to my wife the other day that I need to find a week to relax. It sounds really relaxing.
It's really I mean, it's relaxing, it's work, but you also just
Sure.
show up and it's so choreographed. It's so like my itinerary and curriculum is like 40 pages. You
Oh,
just
wow.
show up and you're totally taken care of. We have support coaches. It's completely catered. Like all you have to do is show up and then just sit down and show up. And then you show up again. And we have yoga classes. We have instructors coming, it's all sorts of different optional, like very retreat types of things as
Sure.
well. So you get that retreat experience as well as doing some hard work. So people tell me it's like a business conference meets one-on-one therapy inside of a group on a farm.
That's awesome. And you said it was first open for the Amplify community. What is the Amplify community?
Amplify is my membership I've been running for about 9 years. It's like a mastermind for musicians. It's $49 a month. And right now there's 2 calls a month with a third one with one of my support coaches, just kind of Q&A, like I'm stuck. It's a really beautiful community. There's an archive of every call that's ever been recorded with searchable. So if you're like, I'm finding myself procrastinating. So you can go and look at procrastination and any video where we talk about that for a while. You can kind of get some motivation from there. There's a great online like portal and chats, and there's a little marketplace. So if you teach voice lessons, you can say, hey, and like the group is, people in the group are hiring each other as mixers. And it's a really diverse group in terms of what people do: singer-songwriters, producers, vocalists, lyricists, did I say producers? Just kind of all in their mid-career level. So it's not for people starting out. It's kind of people that have gone around the wheel a bunch and are kind of like, now what? I've done all the things I know to do. How can I actually get out of this rut or get out of the plateau and level up? And that's what the coaching is designed to do. So it's hot seat coaching with me. Sometimes there's, hey, this happened in the music business, or this is what's going on with Spotify. Like we'll talk about things that people need to know. We focus a lot on releasing music because a lot of people are doing that. So each call, there's a little bit of a different focus. And then we have this like one-on-one hot seat coaching where people are like, all right, I'm stuck here, or I'm dealing with this. And they get coaching from me. And I'm a certified trauma-informed coach. So I'm not just kind of like spewing what worked for me. So it's not just advice. It really is like, let's get to the heart of what's stopping you and clear it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to see how, because when we first met, I was really, because what got my attention was all the email marketing stuff that you wrote about, and it's really cool, like how your journey has evolved and how much more that you offer now for musicians.
Yeah.
And creatives.
Listen, I'm still a big email marketing dork. The thing that I really focus on is systems, and when there's a breakdown or something's not working, usually there's a system that needs to be created or optimized. And email marketing is just one of those systems. That's your communication system, communicating with your fans. I mean, we talk about nervous systems, we talk about communication. I also talk a lot about time management systems, finance systems. And yeah, I think email marketing is absolutely still to this day the number one place you'll be able to sell anything. Over social media. So it's like, why would you not nurture that tool so that when you do have something to sell, you're not just coming out cold and saying, hey, I've got a thing to sell. You actually have relationships in that medium with people. So I still have my course, Rock Your Email List. I'm running it live in the fall for people that are like, all right, I want to just get this created and handled in like a month. We'd like turbo do it. And it's such an important system to have in place, and it really can play into a lot of other things depending on what your goal is as a musician.
Sure. I feel like there's so many directions we can go between marketing and everything else you do. But I guess since the main topic today was email marketing, before we go on more tangents. So one I did an experiment recently, and I thought I was going to destroy my email inbox. So I went to the Billboard 100, and I subscribed to every email newsletter. And you probably can already assume how terrible record labels manage their email addresses. Out of the 100, I only got 11 emails. I I guess, acknowledging that I signed up to a
Like
newsletter.
a welcome email, like saying,
Welcome.
hey, you exist. Thanks for being here. Here's some stuff about me and
Yeah.
let's get to know each other.
Well,
Yeah.
I would even call it a welcome email after the stuff I learned from you, because it wasn't really a welcome. Like some was just literally thanks for subscribing, and some of was immediately trying to sell me something, which from what I've learned is such a skill.
There is a world, there is another parallel universe where all the record labels realize that they are sitting on gold mines and wasting so much money in having email lists but not doing them right, and they decide to hire me to set it up for them for $100,000 a pop. I mean, they literally, there's so much money that labels are sitting on that they are not, they could be, you know, telling cool back end stories. They could have a featured artist of the month. They could be selling merch. They could be, and people are more likely to buy over email than social media. Like, it's still a statistic that has been tested, and you have to post 9 times on social media to get someone to click or do something versus 1 email. Like, that's the statistic. Like, hello.
I mean, that's already so the next question I was going to ask, why should college students, right? So the lives are usually more geared towards the college students. The podcast is usually more geared towards industry overall, and then the private stuff that I do is more geared towards touring and the live space. But I guess for the college students listening, why is email, I mean, you kind of answered it already, but why is email marketing so important, and where can they get started? So I'll add that to it. Where can they get started to learn about email marketing? Because I know for sure if it's not me teaching it, it's not a lot of people teaching it in college.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not teaching it in any programs I've heard of. But listen, every email's not going away. It's like a horseshoe crab, which is one of the very, very few creatures on this planet that has not evolved in like millions of years, because it's figured itself out. You need an email to sign up for TikTok. Like everybody needs an email address, right? So first of all, everyone has it. That's one thing. Not everyone, depending on your music, depending on what happens with social media, not everyone is going to be on your platform of choice. Not everyone is going to be on TikTok. Not everyone's going to be on Instagram. You know? So the other thing is that when those platforms go down, you actually have ownership of your list. Once people are signing up, they're opting in legally, like then you're able to communicate. I mean, I remember Facebook, TikTok, all Meta went down on a Friday, which is music release day, right? And like all these musicians were freaking out. They're like, my strategy for release day. And I'm like, boop, 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 sent an email like to all my fans, because, you know, and I'm like, what's the problem? So, I mean, there's so many reasons. And once you get it set up, it's one of those things you don't need to be posting every day. You don't need to have an email going out every other week. Like, once you write your welcome series and a couple of nurture series, and then, you know, you can automate all that stuff, which to answer your second question of how to get set up, I really, really love, if you are starting from scratch and you're like, I want to sell my music digitally. I want to maybe have a community, you know, a private community, but not like give Patreon 15 or 20% or whatever. And I want to have an email list, and maybe I want a landing page or 2, and I want it to all look branded. My favorite, and I have used all of the email programs out there. My favorite right now, and it has been for about 6 years, is Kajabi. And I do have a discount link that I could give you to give your people if they want. And they also get a coaching call with me if they use that link, because it will give them whatever discounts they have. They now have an artist, like creator, like low cost, if you're just getting started, and they have all of the automations and bells and whistles, and you don't need to wait till you have a certain number of, like MailChimp, it's like you don't get any of the features until you're paying a certain tier. Like, that's not how it works with Kajabi, and they have really great customer support. So I'm a big fan of that.
What's the link?
It's www.inthekey.co/Kajabi, which is Kajabi. inthekey.co/Kajabi. And so if there's any like partner, I'm a partner with them. I do beta testing for them. I love the platform. And after using MailChimp and Constant Contact and Wix and Squarespace and Infusionsoft, I'm trying to think of what to keep. It's really user friendly. They have great tutorials, and if you're planning on having a career for the long haul, like, set yourself up. Like, I promise you, if you go buy the cheap one, like Sendinblue or Brevo now, it's great because it's free until a certain point, but then you're going to hit a wall if you really are committed to your own growth. Look at that. There's the link right on the podcast there. Yeah. And if there's any deals running, that link will have it. And I get pinged if you sign up through that. And then you and I get a one-on-one call, and I'll make sure you're totally set up. Yeah. So that's how much I just like believe in a platform. Like, it's it's one of those systems that when you have it in place, all of the other things get really easy. You don't have to sort of duct tape different, like your payment platform with your website, with your email list, with your, how you want to sell, you can sell your digital music. I sell like digital lyrics, like 1-page art for like $3. People can download it and frame it. And I've had, like, you can just, it's such an easy platform, and everything will look nice and aligned and professional, which you kind of need these days, because it is so easy to create all this stuff online and to create a branded website. So it's like, if yours doesn't look really good, it says something, and this makes it really easy.
Awesome. I love that. I'm actually currently building a program on Kajabi. I did not know about the email marketing features.
Cool.
I started, and then I kind of like stopped a few months ago because I'm recording and writing the curriculum. So I wasn't really ready, but now the courses are recorded, so now I'm going back. But I am excited about the email thing, so I probably should just get rid of MailChimp and bring it all there. And I guess me ask you one personal question. You did a little knock on Patreon. I know there's a lot of features on Kajabi that are like Patreon like. Could Kajabi be a replacement for people that are on
Patreon? Absolutely. So they have a new feature. Well, it's newish, but I beta tested it. It's solid. It's what I host Amplify on, which essentially is they call it a community, and people can either pay for it, or it can be, once they buy something else, they can get access to the community. You can do live calls inside of it, so people log in, which is really great because they get to be inside your culture. Then you can host calls that are like Zoom calls, and it looks like Zoom on the bottom and everything like that. Like, it has all the, so you can go live. So if you are offering different levels, like $5 to get access to the community, $10 to get this bundle plus a special call with me, like, you can have different groups inside of the community that people have access to. So I think it's really, really clean. It will be all branded with your website. Patreon is so heavily branded. Patreon, like, orange is like the opposite of my color. Listen, they set up a tool for people that didn't know how to set up their own tools. And I think they did a great job, and it was very artist centric. And their big claim is like, people are looking on Patreon to find new people. So it's like, oh, would I lose the potential of finding an audience? I've been on Patreon for years and years and years. I just have an account sitting there. People are not finding me. Like, it's not, and you're giving a large chunk of your income to them, and it's completely not user-friendly as a patron. I'm on multiple people's, like, I am a member of people's Patreon things, and I do not like it. I think the user interface is very, very hard. And you still have to have a login there. So they might as well be logging into your ecosystem where they can see your, hey, buy this bundle here, or like your new merch, whatever. It's all right there. And you're going to increase your engagement just because people are already inside of your own ecosystem. So not to knock Patreon, but I do think that this is a better option for independent artists that are trying to really create a brand and an ecosystem.
Well, I have artists, so I also work on the artist management side, and I have some artists that are interested in like a membership type thing, but they don't necessarily like Patreon because of the branding and everything, and the fee and all that. And I've always looked at Kajabi as, this is where everybody built their course, right?
It's known, and I think it might have even gotten started as like, this is where people who are teaching something create their programs, whether you're teaching courses on anything, right? Baking or email marketing, or you're teaching violin. Like, it has that as a feature, but it is just one of the many features that they have: the email marketing, the community now, the website builder. So you don't need to use they have a coaching feature. I don't even use the coaching feature. I have, my coaching system is super dialed in, and I'm just like, well, I don't need to change it over to them because I've got, my system is my system for one-on-one coaching. So it's like, there are so many great features in there that are really well developed, and you don't need to use the courses one. But if you're looking to do a community and have an email list, absolutely Kajabi, it will be worth the price. You probably will cover your cost of Kajabi by the fees that you would be paying to Patreon.
Sure. That sounds amazing. I'm excited to dive a little more into that with some artists. And
and I'd be happy to like help your people like get going on it. We could do a couple, if there was a group of people that wanted to like look into setting it up, we could just do that. Let's just do
awesome.
That.
Love it. Yeah, because like the branding is so important, right? Like you mentioned, like you can brand, like basically kind of can look like it's your own website versus like being on a different platform, even Patreon or other platforms that are out there, where it's all about them and their advertising and all their branding, and it doesn't look like it's
Totally. Yeah, and it's not even looking like it's your own website. It is your own website.
Yeah.
So it's your domain. It looks really sharp. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And I'm also a big fan of making it easy for your fans to show up and to get to know you and to be in your world and be aligned with your branding. And I think that having the community hosted on your site, whatever platform you use, whether it's Kajabi or not, I think it's a better way than outsourcing. It's the same thing with groups on Facebook. Like, every time you send someone to a Facebook group, you're helping Facebook with their branding. They do not need help.
Right. No,
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then another question I have is, well, so many, but I guess real quick, since you mentioned kind of going back a little bit on the Facebook thing or whatever, I forget who the artist was, but there's an artist that had like a massive fan base on MySpace, and we all know what happened to MySpace. And when the platform went away, so did his direct connection with fans, right? Can you speak to that a little bit real quick as well? Like what I maybe can add, how I always introduce email marketing to students, and maybe can add a little more to them. Basically I do, but I would say, when you post on social media, it's about 0 to 4% of people that follow you see your post. But if you are sending an email, I don't know what the percentage of people is that actually see the email. I know it's a very high percentage, but then the open rate is, if you're doing a good job, it should be between 25 and 30%. And I look at open rate as engagement, right? So like, you have way higher engagement on the email than people even see your post on social media. And that's one of the many why students should pay attention to email marketing.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And listen, like, when people go through my Rock Your Email course, our goal is 40 to 50% open rate. And we really dial. So here's a little spoiler thing. So the job of your subject line is to get the email opened. A lot of people try to summarize the email in the subject line, which, if you summarize the email in the subject line and they see that on their phone, everyone sees the subject line, why would I open the email? Right. And what you're missing there is what I look at for engagement is not open rate, is the click rate. Are enough people opening so that they are clicking and whether that's, and we don't always have to be selling something, right? It could just be, hey, come join me on Instagram or come do this live on YouTube with me. It's like, but you got to train your audience that when you have an email, there's something cool inside and that they can click on. And so if they're not clicking, then it doesn't matter. So the job of the subject line is to get the open. And once it's open, the job of your copy, what you're writing in the email, that job is to get the click. And then wherever you take them, so let's say you're trying to sell your new t-shirt that you just designed on your merch store, the job of the landing page where they went to is to get the sale. So I see a lot of musicians trying to get the sale in the subject line, which is why they're not getting the engagement, right? So you have this little flow, and that's how people read emails, right? We're like, oh, I'm interested in this because of the subject line. All right, I'm going to read this because it's engaging and it's speaking to me. And I'm going to click on this because it's exactly what I've been wanting. And then it's really easy for me to go do the thing, right? On the landing page, buy it or follow or sign in or, so that all being said, engagement on email, it feels like a weird thing because it's not this kind of social media back and forth commenting. So when we think about engagement on email, it's like, well, what is that? But everyone sees their email. Like, people are reading their email in the morning. It's still, I think it's like 60% of people read their email before they go on social media. And it's not time dependent. Like you said, like when you post, you have to hope that you're posting at the right time when most of your people will hopefully see it. And the algorithm does like, there's so many factors to whatever you're trying to communicate to actually be communicated, versus when you have an email going out, it's not on some algorithm's timeline. It's on the user's timeline. So again, we're bringing it back to how can we make our not even our engagement, our relationship with our fans easier for them, right? That's constantly the filter I'm looking through, which is why I'm a fan of Kajabi, which is like, how can we make this smooth, seamless, less clicks, less scrolling, and how can we make this really clear for our fans and make that a really pleasant experience?
Yep, I love that. And then so speaking of making a pleasant experience, I've heard something recently about the email marketing, right? Like using less images on the emails and making it just literally, so if I were to write you an email, right? Like when I write you an email, there's no images or anything. Like, it's like literally I wrote it to you. How much of that is like how important is that, like to make it look like, hey, I actually wrote my fans an email versus like having a bunch of merch graphics and new music.
Yeah. So the days of the newsletter are out, unless it's like a paid newsletter. That's a culture that's coming back, but that's a whole different thing, and that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. So the musician newsletter is out in the like, here's the wrap up for the month. Here's some pictures from the tour. Here's my new merch. Here the new CD's out. Pre-save. Like we are in a one topic, one click culture where we see a post, we see it, and then we're moving on, right? We move on. Our email has to act like that. So when you're writing me, you're like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? I'm like, hey, Chris, what's up? Totally. What day works for you? And like, one topic going back and forth, right? There's our engagement and there's our topic. And so if you can make your emails feel in your copy, you should always be writing as if you're writing to one person, not like, hey guys, thanks for like, it's like, hey, name, merge tag, which is the tech term for getting someone's first name to show up in the email. Like, thank you so much for coming to that show Friday night. Cause obviously you get emails at people's show and you tag them that they came to the show, and then you can email them a nice thank you. Right. So yes, write as if you're writing to one person. In terms of the images and stuff that you're putting in there, you don't want it to look and feel like a newsletter. It also will get you a little more flagged, especially if you don't have an established list. When you're starting in the beginning, you want to keep it text only and simple. But here's the thing. People are visual. Some people are really, really visual, right? So you want to make sure that you are catering your emails to all different types of consumers, meaning some people are, I'm a reader. Do not send me a YouTube video. I will look for the transcript, right? My husband is like learning how to do all sorts of things only on YouTube. And he watches it like 2 times fast. And like people are like, talking. I'm like getting anxiety over here. I will read, but we are really, really different in terms of how we like to receive information and content. If you have a new album out, we're going to want to see the album cover, right? So there are things that you want to do. So for example, in subject lines, you don't always want to be all caps. You don't always want to use an emoji. You don't always want to have it be open-ended and confusing. Change it up, because you're going to have different people, and some things and you'll learn your audience too. This is why we look at the data and Rock Your Email List. There's a huge part about looking at data and why. Who cares about data unless it can actually help tell us what future actions to take and how to cater. Okay, nobody opens emails when it's all caps. They just feel like they're yelled at, and no one needs to be yelled at in this day and age. So cool. So, and maybe some people are like, they need the all caps because they have a really busy audience or something. And so all caps, but you can see, okay, this does better than this. And then you can start making choices based on that data. But yeah, I do overall err on the side of less graphics, image, color, no background colors, make it look more as personal as possible, and walk the fine line of changing that up just so you do have some visuals. And sometimes we have slightly longer emails when we're telling a story. We don't want every email to be a long essay. Sometimes it's nice to try, hey, here's a Zoom link. We're going to be live in 10 minutes. Come join us. Boom. Like that, changing it up so that they stay on their toes and they're like, what's going to be in this one? Right.
I love that. And then going back to the record label, or not the record, the artist I signed up for major record labels. When I do get emails from them, it's usually always, I would say, probably close to 100% call to actions, where it's like, buy this, do that, listen to this, whatever. If you like, I'm pretty influenced by people like Gary Vee that always like talk about like adding more value than asking. And it's always leaves the analogy like, if you have a friend and you have a friend that always asks you for favors and never really adds any value to that relationship, like how good is that friend? Like how important is that when it comes to email marketing, of like just adding value, and what are some of the kinds of things that you would do to, I guess, build the relationship, right? So if we're talking about like really technical marketing, like, not that technical, basic marketing in my eyes, but not in the college world, but like just the customer journey. If you think about the customer journey and developing a relationship with the fan, like, I guess, do you have any kind of guidelines on how much is call to action and how much is more focused on relationship building?
Yeah. My guess is that when you signed up for those 100 people's emails, that you were not a fan of all 100 of those artists.
No.
So here's the thing. When people subscribe, maybe because they were at a live show or someone else told them like, hey, you can get this free bundle of music from this friend of mine. When most people subscribe, they are just that, subscribers. They are not yet fans.
Right.
It is your job in your emails to turn them into fans. So I bet that if someone was doing email well on those 100 and you weren't yet a fan of them, but they were like, hey, welcome. This is a little backstory of me. Like, where are you from? And like reply back, right? If they replying back is a really big deal, especially in the beginning. It basically tells the internet bots that you are a real person and that your emails are not, spam. So, engaging with them in the beginning, letting them in on like, hey, here's a bundle of my favorite songs from my last 3 albums. Like, tell me which one is your favorite. I'm just going to give them to you for free and you can put them wherever you want on your, everything's streamable now, but some people don't buy streaming products and stuff. And the other thing about giving away MP3s as like a downloadable zip, which can just be like a nice link to Google Drive or something, easy to deliver, is it's the gesture. It's like, I'm giving you something that took me a long time to make. And that creates that kind of like, that's part value, right? And whether or not people put value on a downloadable MP3 anymore, the gesture in itself is still, from what I've seen, as important as the thing that you're delivering. So that's important. And then letting them get to know you and just being like, hey, I'm going to shine a light on a bandmate of mine, or this funny story, or hey, I like to catch up in my welcome series. I use it as hey, I've been around for a while. Here's what you missed. Here's my most viewed music video. Here's the backstory behind my Grammy-nominated album. Here's the, not all in one email. These are all separate. Any story you can tell is a lovely opportunity to send a separate email. And we're creating an automated series here. So you don't need to constantly be writing the same story and then sending it out to each new person. The idea is that when they sign up, it triggers an already written series of emails about your story, which for the most part is not changing. Like, what happened.
Right, yeah.
And you can add to that. And about every 6 months, I go in and like update just make sure it's really up to date. If something big happens, like a Grammy nomination, I go in and add an email of like, hey, this is a thing that happened and I want to catch you up to who I am. And then it's like, hey, I have a new thing coming out. Like, will you pre-order it? Or like, this is why this is important to me. And then you can do a nice little, I call them rise series, because they're going from subscriber to fan to super fan to an advocate for you. That's like, and advocates are like, not just the people that will buy all your stuff, but they'll buy all your stuff and then go tell other people about it.
Right.
Yeah. So in those series where you're actually turning them from a fan to a customer, they have to buy something.
Yeah.
Like, they're not a super fan until they buy things. So we have to offer things. So yes, we do have to sell, but there's such a setup in order to make that selling really, really effective.
I'm hogging all your time, and
oh my gosh, you're good.
I see we have some people watching. So if anyone has any questions for Cheryl, feel free to ask. And we will release this as audio as well. So there will be the audio version on the podcast. So if there's no questions, I'll continue asking questions because I have lots. But if anybody's watching has any questions for Cheryl on email marketing, on songwriting, on being a Grammy-nominated artist, the amazing retreats that she does, anything else, feel free to ask. But until questions come in, I'll keep asking away. But but another question I had is, so colleges are really getting into the whole micro-credentialing portion of like adding a certification to your degree, right? Because they don't learn a lot of this stuff in college, and especially like certain programs like entertainment and like music business, they don't teach a lot of stuff. And we all know you don't have to have a degree to get into this industry. So they're trying to figure out like how they can make their degrees more valuable. If I pointed a college into a direction of credentialing, I mean, of course, your course would be great, but is there anything out there like for email marketing that students can get certified in that might look good on a resume when they do apply anywhere in the industry?
No. You rock your email list. My course is the only course for musicians that is start to finish how to do email correctly. And I am actually changing by the end of this year, we'll have certificates. So that you can put it on but you can say completed rock your email list. It's like well known in the industry. It is the only full complete program. There are outside of the music industry, there are like digital marketers and online programming certification. I've gotten certified in digital marketing through them as well. And they're like kind of known, but yeah, if you're really looking at just, I really want to become masterful at email marketing, rock your email list. And I'm not saying this because I'm tooting my horn. I have looked for the company. I've had my team look for, and there's still no one that does it this level and have it completely set up. And the statistic that is across industries is when you have email set up correctly, you will be making will, like, this is not like an opinion, this is fact.
Yeah.
And it's all of my students that do the course in its entirety, like, come back and they're like, oh my God, it's true. You will be making $1 to $2 per subscriber per month. So numbers, people, if we have 1,000 subscribers on our email list, you'll be averaging $1,000 to $2,000 per month. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean every single person is spending $1. It could be that someone is on your community and they're paying the $100 level, or it could be that you do a crowdfunding campaign through your email list for an album that you're coming out with, and you raise $12,000. That over the year, when you break it down, that still translates to $1 per subscriber per month, and that's how you know you're doing it correctly. And that it's very measurable, and that's why I keep running the course, because it's still true and it's still the result that people are getting when they do the program.
I love that. When you say run the course, I know you say you're running it again in the fall. Can people sign up for it any time, or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's evergreen. And what I do in the fall is, if you already have the course but want to join the live cohorts, you obviously don't need to buy the course and the live. I give a very steep discount for people that are already in the program. Mm-hmm. And then some people are like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing I needed to know how to do. And they buy the course and so basically I'm saying, this week, go through modules 3 through 8, and then we're going to talk about this and look at and we'll, we look at subject lines, and people come in with landing pages, forums, and like we're workshopping all the stuff that's in the course.
Sure.
But yeah, it's evergreen. You can sign up for it at any time.
I love that. Well, I hope there's any people at universities that hear this, and I will definitely be promoting it as well, because they're always looking at the Google certification and Facebook certification, which is good, like to have the big companies, but I mean, there is nothing. I mean, I've looked too. There's literally nothing for email marketing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of resources for like how am I gonna write a good subject line, and like there's blog posts and stuff like that. But yeah, there's not a lot out there. I have like a basic like outline too. I have like a free PDF I can also give you guys if you want.
Yeah,
but that can kind of just get you started, because here's the thing, like there's so much stuff out there. I'll put that in a private chat for you if you wanted to share that. But there's so much stuff out there that's way sexier than email. Like, sure, get on Spotify playlists and heard by millions, get your music on TV shows, like, and all that stuff is a long game. Like that, sure, it's very rare where that's going to be like the thing that hits, but you can get your email list set up in like 2 months max and working for you. Mm-hmm. So this is just a free PDF. It's called Mastering Email, and it kind of walks through the 6 stages. STAGES is actually the acronym. And then the course obviously goes into the deeper version of that. I may have closed the course off right now. I don't know. I have to check, but I'll let you know. If people have questions, they can ask.
Awesome. And yeah, like you said, right there, when I think of my students or artists, right, everyone wants to figure out how you get your Spotify numbers and all that up. And all that's great, but at the end of the day, that's vanity. And, I always say the number one metric to decide, like the I guess if you want to put a dollar sign, like value of an artist's business, and it's not the only one, right? But like it's how many tickets can you sell? Like, how engaged is your community? Like, will your community, if you play a show, will they buy tickets to come see you? And they're not going to do it by being a monthly listener, but by being highly engaged on an email list and actually developing that relationship with a fan, right? They're going to be excited to come to a show. And if you have built a community around it, they will not only be excited to come to the show, but they'll be excited to see the other fans at the show. And they're probably going to buy a lot of merch at the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are always like, yo, you can't make money touring. I never lost money on my tours, because I was so good about getting those email lists, following up the next day, offering discount codes there. Like, there's so many tricks and hacks when you're playing live. It was always a source of income for me. Even if I had high costs and everything, I made sure to like work it enough to do exactly what you're saying. And the email list really helps. Anywhere I went, I would say, hey, do you know anyone? I knew one person in Cincinnati. I remember this. And I got a gig there. I was on tour with 2 other guys, and they're like, we're stopping in Cincinnati. I was like, I don't have any fans. And turned out I did. I had one, and they're like, oh, that's perfect. Normally our office goes out for drinks that night. We'll just bring them to your show. And sure, she brought literally 15 people from one, like you just, and only from my email list. That was from the email list. So
that's an advocate right there. Not only super fan, it's an advocate bringing all their friends.
Yeah, totally. There's a good question I see in the chat here.
Yeah. So one last thing I'll add to is with the email list, right? Just to, I guess, to verify, not verify, but to support what you just said is when you release a new single, right? It's so hard to get new people to listen to your single, but the best people to get to listen to your new single are all the people on your email list. And that has made bigger impacts on new releases, is just sending out an email to your
Yep,
fans that saying, hey, there's a new single out. But anyways,
totally.
Fogman has a question. Just wanted to know how we can navigate getting people to sign up for an email list in this day and change where people are so protective of their personal information, and also some context. I mean, it'd be great answers for artists, but Falgun's also a promoter in India,
Oh, cool.
and one of the things we'll be talking about soon as well, like how promoters can actually utilize their email list better. But
Mm.
yeah, some context behind Falgun.
Yeah, I mean, if you are just in the beginning of your career and you want to have an email list, I one of the biggest mistakes I hear new musicians make is I am going to wait until I'm ready. Like,
Mm,
no, this is gold. Like, I'm jealous that you are just starting. You can set this system up early and say, hey, I'm up to something. Like,
mm,
follow me on this journey. Like,
mm,
come with me. You knew me. You can say, I knew them when, and that's really special. And like, own that you know, no credentials. I would not say that I don't have any credentials yet. It's just like, hey, I'm starting this journey and I would love to bring you along. And like, maybe it's just your friends and family that are on that list, but you start to train the list and the email algorithms and all this stuff that you have an engaged list, and then you start to grow it. And then you do an open mic, and then people are like, how can I find out more? Oh, here's a QR code it takes you right to the sign up list. And listen, you're not asking them for personal data. You're asking for you want their first name and their email. That's it. It's your job to go in and tag them so that you can, or you don't need their zip code. You don't need their this and their that. And you need an email to sign up for literally any app you download. You need, like, people are giving away their email left and right. And sometimes people have a, web specific email that they use just for, lists and stuff, which I do. So, yeah, I don't know if you're really protective about your personal information and giving out your email, but just remember that we are not our ideal fan. So if you think, oh, I wouldn't want this, or it would be a burden to me, cool, but it's probably not for your fans. So you gotta separate how you operate. Not that this is necessarily true, just from what you're saying there. If you're assuming that people are really protective with their information, it may or may not be true. It may be something that's just a you thing.
mhm.
But yeah, own where you're at, and then just bring people along the journey.
And if Falgun, right, was on the promoter side, if you were to sell tickets to a show, for example, like, I mean, like you said, every account needs an email address. So if you buy a ticket, no matter what platform it is, whether it's Master Ticket Web, Eventbrite, eTix, like, you have to put an email address, right? So there will be all these email addresses available from people that bought tickets. Is there some kind of, I guess, for good email etiquette, now that you've bought a ticket, obviously Falgun now has access to those emails. Is there good email etiquette to welcome them onto the list now? Or they just
Get them caught up with what the venue is all about, and or what the artist is all about, depending on like what the angle is. In my program, I have a template of the 4 emails. The welcome emails, the first emails, are what will determine whether that person stays on the list or not, or just goes unsubscribed. Like, I signed up just to get the ticket and now I'm out of here. But if you send something engaging, like, hey, check your email the day after the show, we're going to show you some behind the scenes, like, get a couple photos of behind the band getting ready, or when they walk off stage or something, and send that thanks so much for coming last night. Here's some special behind the scenes just for you because you bought a ticket through our site, or blah, 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 whatever. Anything that is exclusive that cannot be found on social media is great. Even if it can be found, if you're the hub and they know they're going to get that content from the email, and they don't need to go searching for because it's not going to show up on their algorithm at the right time, right? They don't have to go searching for it. If you're just like, hey, here's some cool behind the scenes exclusive content just for you, like, I'd stay on that email list.
Sure.
Do ticket sites do that? No.
Right. No,
Should they?
not at all. Venues? No.
Yeah.
Promoters?
Should they
No.
pay me to set this up for them? Yes.
A lot of leads for you. And then a question I get a lot from students, and I don't know if I have the best answer to it, so maybe you have a better answer than I do to it, but it's like the email list versus the texting list, right? And I always say, well, with email, you can just do more. Like, you can do a lot more storytelling. You can really nurture a relationship a whole lot more over email. Because like a text message, you're not going to send someone like a 1 or 2 paragraph text message, but you will do that over email. That's the only answer I've been able to give so far. So I don't know if you have a better reason or answer.
Yeah, my reason is a little more personal, and this comes into the advice I just gave, which is like, we are not our ideal fans.
Right.
I personally save texts for friends and family. Like, it is not where I do business. I do it on email. If you're a coaching client, we have Telegram. I use WhatsApp for projects that I'm working on. But my texts are like my sacred place, and like, I do not want to be bugged by stupid crap. So I'm just like not, and I think that a lot of my fans are just the knowing where they came from. A lot of my fans came from when I was touring, 15 years ago. And so there's definitely like a little bit of like, maybe that could be a great poll, honestly, that you could send to your email list. Be like, hey, we want to take this to text? And then you could run a poll and see what the vibe is. And like, maybe that's something you want to set up. You got to know your audience. So I would ask your audience first, but for me, I'm like a hard no, do not put me on your text list. I will unsubscribe so fast.
Sure.
You can't really get into storytelling and, and people aren't replying to those it doesn't feel like engagement. It does feel a little more corporate than an email to me. Just when I see it done, and I haven't seen it done well, where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll consider that. It's always annoying.
Yeah,
for me.
No, I agree. And like, after signing up to all those lists, maybe 20% of them like is an automatic like include you on texting list. So I was like, okay, let me. I was afraid, but I was like, let me go try it because I want to see what they're texting. But yeah, none of them. It feels very, like you said, it feels very corporate, not personal when they're sending those texts.
Yeah. It's a good follow-up question here.
Yeah. So a follow-up, what you just spoke about, do you think that it's a good idea to have separated email lists for artists versus audience versus vendors, etc.? Obviously, I'm asking from a promoter's perspective.
You don't need separate lists per se. That can get pretty expensive. But for example, what I like is, and there's different terms depending on what platform you use, tagging or segmenting. In Kajabi, you can save they call it custom audiences. So basically, if I go perform a live show and I get 20 emails, I put them all into my email list and I tag them. I have 3 different kinds of tags. Source, like where did this person come from? So it will be like website, like they came because they visited my website, they signed up. Social media, I'll have a different form, or live show. So I say source live show. So they get tagged. So when I search anyone that's been tagged with source live show, anyone that signed up initially from being at a live show, they would show up, right? And then I can save that. So anyone past and future that has that tag, that's a custom audience, AKA a separate list. So absolutely, if you meet people and you ask them, can I add you? You can't, by the way, get like a list of industry folks and add them to a bulk email list. That's literally illegal. Don't do it. Yeah. But if you go to a networking event and you're like, hey, can I add you to my contact list? Can I add you to my email list? And the unsubscribe button is very obvious. By the way, this is why we use Kajabi or MailChimp, or don't use MailChimp, but like systems like that. You can't just send emails to your contacts through Gmail. Bulk emails they're getting more and more, your email will get shut down. So don't do that either. Yeah. So yeah, I would absolutely just tag or segment whatever the platform that you're using calls it, so that you can send an email to specific lists with specific purposes. Some people get really creative, and I used to do this. I used to micro tag like everything. And then the filter that the question I asked myself is like, how would I use this tag for a future communication? So for example, source live show, I can write everyone that's come to a live show, hey, you've seen me live. I've got this big show coming up. Like, would you share with your friends, right? But you can't say that to someone who signed up just through social media link or something, because they haven't seen you live, or maybe they have, but if they had, then they would have the source live show tag on there. So you think about like, how would I use this tag in the future? They purchased something online. Cool. They get a purchasing tag like, hey, because you purchased before, I'm going to give you a 20% coupon on my new t-shirt in my merch store. Like, you can honor that and like really use those segments and those lists. But at the same time, it's nice to have them all in one big list, because if you get some big news like, hey, I was just nominated for a Grammy, everyone, no matter who they are, is gonna want to know that, right? And so then you have the ability to send that one email. You don't have to copy and paste into multiple different lists. So that's the most cost-effective way, and honestly, it's really easy to manage inside of Kajabi. Some places you have to actually create separate lists or pay for another list, and I advise against that. It gets very hard to manage.
Mm-hmm. Another follow-up question that I have is, well, not I guess a little bit of a tangent, but there's another platform that a lot of musicians are using a lot right now. So, not an endorsement for Kajabi. This podcast is not sponsored by Kajabi, but it is an awesome platform, and obviously Cheryl uses it, and I will be using it a lot more, and most likely be transferring the Patreon over there. But anyways, there's another platform called Laylo that a lot of musicians are currently using, and I'll be familiar with it, but there's one feature that I really like about it, and I've been trying to figure out, can that feature be used on other platforms? And it's the whole "where should I play live" feature, right? And it's like they'll have a list of cities that they're thinking about playing, and then fans can vote. And then, like, if there's enough of a list for a certain city, now they agent or manager.
Bandsintown does that too, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. I've used Bandsintown, and I embed that into my website, so it looks really seamless. So I don't know about this. I mean, I'm always interested in new apps. I'm wary, and I beta test for a lot of new sort of tech music company apps. There's so many of them are so short-lived, and everyone in music tech right now is like really struggling, and like distributors, so I'm always wary of the new hip app. But I mean, I think that's a great thing to send your fans to.
Sure.
For sure.
The segmenting get harder to do once you're looking at like a high number of subscribers.
No, not at all. It has nothing to do with the number of subscribers. It has to do with the number of your tags. So if you keep your tags well organized, and you have this, again, I lay this out in Rock Your Email List, like how to really tag in a way that's organized and it makes it easy for you to search later. I mean, I have tens of thousands of subscribers, and I have the same tagging system I had 20 years ago. So.
Love it. And so a little plug for Rock Your Email List. One of the many reasons why you should sign up is Cheryl mentioned welcome sequences and nurture sequences. And what is all that? I'm sure you'll learn all of that. And
so when you're using an email system that allows you to automate, meaning you set up emails that are triggered based on what the subscriber is doing. So if someone purchases something, that would trigger a thank you series. Thanks for buying this. Here's another email, second email on that. Here's a 20% off coupon for your next purchase. Here's, like, you can, do things based on what the subscriber does. So when the subscriber signs up, they get the welcome series. When they're finished with the welcome series, maybe they go into a low cost, just sort of get them to maybe say, hey, would you buy this single for 99 cents, get them to take out their wallet and sort of train them, right? Then maybe it's a nurture series, which I call, that's like the storytelling, getting to know you kind of series. And then another selling series or rise series, right? Remember, we're going from fan to customer to super fan. And I mean, in Rock Your Email List, I have over 40 different templates. So if you wanted to send out, hey, I'm going to send out I've got a free summer. I'm going to see if anyone wants to host house concerts. So I have a house concert Rise series. I have a new album Rise series. I have a pre-save Rise series. I have a new merch Rise series. Like, I have all of these like templates written, and you just sort of change in your titles and make it your voice a little bit. But there's usually 3 to 5 emails in a series, or sequence, depending on what email platform you're using. They call it different things. And it gets triggered when someone's finish one sequence, they get triggered to go into a new one. And then nurture series, I tend to have like one every 3 weeks, just to kind of keep people engaged. But you don't need to, I mean, if you write 10 emails and you send one a month, that's almost a year of content that you're sending out, and that you don't need to, you can go on vacation or get kidnapped by aliens and people are still going to be engaged with you. The Rise series, the selling series, I do a little more often. And usually I like to have something like, this first week when we're trying to get on the charts is when it counts to buy this. So there's like an urgency, like do it by the end of the week and you get entered to win a t-shirt, or like, so I usually have like an email every day or every other day for like a week or so for the Rise series. And changing it up the frequency is really good for your fans as well, because then it's like, oh, something's happening here. This is important. This is different than the other series I was in, Sure. Yeah, we're going to try to not get, well, some people say like, if you get hit by a bus, and I always sound so morbid. So I like kidnapped by aliens. I mean, like, you can like negotiate with them and become friends and then like have them bring you back.
I like that analogy a lot better than getting hit by the bus.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, time went by so fast, and I have a whole lot more questions, but
I'll do part 2 or part 3 at this point, whatever you want.
but this was
I can work out on this all day.
yeah, I'm gonna say same here. I can ask and I don't know, I'm just even though this is kind of what I do as well. I can just be a student about this stuff forever and just like nerd out with other people that do this and learn other skills and perspectives and things like that. So this
Yeah,
this
me
was awesome. I've learned a lot. So hopefully everyone that's either watched it live or is listening later on audio or video has learned a lot. And let me just share the links real quick. I guess while I'm sharing your links, do you have any last message, words of wisdom or guidance for anyone that's watching or listening?
Yeah, we didn't really talk about this, but I think the key to any communication you're sending out anywhere is to know what you want and
Mm,
not try to do all of the things
yeah,
and really get aligned with what is most important to you right now. Because when a fan's like, cool, you're up to this thing, how can I help? If you don't have an answer, like that's the worst thing, right? So right now, my new album came out on Friday. My writing partner and we're going for the Billboard chart, and that is a sales chart. So right now, instead of saying stream this or add to your playlist or whatever, we're like, will you purchase this on Amazon, iTunes, and Bandcamp? Because those are the 3 platforms that are reporting directly to Billboard. So we're really specific. Screen shares, iTunes makes it really hard to buy music, right? They send you to Apple Music and try to get you to do subscription. I'm like, no, you have to scroll down. So
right.
make it really easy for people to help you. And that starts with you being really clear on what you want. And if you don't know what that is, then get a coach, get into Amplify, get into a place where you can see what it looks like when you're surrounded by people who are clear on what they want and are going after it.
Well, this was awesome. Thanks for sharing all his wisdom and all his insight. And I shared Cheryl's links on the screen, but also it'll be in the description of the podcast and the video version where you can get in touch. And thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
And as I always say, lead with kindness, be mindful of others, and remember, we might not be saving lives, but we are in an industry to make people happy. And what cooler purpose than that? Thanks, everyone.